Why didn't they report on the parliamentary at your conference? Because they're supposed to report at that conference in all the matters that they deal with in detail where necessary. They didn't report about digital vibes. They didn't report about Pala. Why?
To try and ferret and dig up. I mean, leads us to.
It didn't need much digging up. It was in the public arena for months, and then your parliamentary caucus, say for 5 people, dismissed this report in front of Parliament. What's your feeling about that? Do you think that was a correct way to do it?
That is precisely what was decided should happen, and that's how it happened.
Yeah.
And
are you upset with your ministers who voted that you have a case to answer in Parliament?
No, these are political processes, and you take them in tandem as you move on.
Yeah, but it shows ill discipline for people in your core, in your cabinet, to stand up and just do as they please, like we have seen happen. I mean, is it the kind of discipline you're going to carry on with, or you're just going to tolerate this?
As it happens.
Are you worried about discipline in the ends? There seems to be a lot of loose ends when it comes to discipline. 2 of your people in the top 7, as it is now, are mentioned in the state cap for months. They've been in the state capture. Nothing has happened to them. You have set up a committee that is going to express its view about the hundreds of people mentioned in the report who are ANC members. Nothing has happened. That committee not even report to your Congress. Why should people believe that suddenly there's going to be discipline and what have you? Your own NEC, not discipline. They were behind you laughing and chuckling there while you are giving your January 8 statement. It seems chaotic. What's your feeling?
You'd like me to comment on everything. If a fly were to, just sit on your forehead, you would want me to comment about that.
No.
I've got ministers whose job is to deal with these matters. And they are the ones who deal with this. For instance, the appointment of a new CEO.
Yeah.
I don't have to comment about that. The board is in place to deal with that. Otherwise, why did we appoint
Why did you come back from overseas? Because there was load shedding.
Yeah, but I come back.
If you are so blasé about
I come back because I have to deal with the problems.
Yeah.
And if I don't come back, they say, he's out there
in England,
hip hopping with whoever, and he's not here. And that is the way our people
but that's why you are president.
This. And so you are absolutely right. I do something, I'm at fault. I don't do it, I'm at fault. Similarly, in the way that you are approaching all these matters.
Well, you are praised why CEO was fired. Why Eskom CEO was fired?
No, he was not fired. He resigned.
Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Finally, the President of the Republic, Cyril Ramaphosa, have just given an interview of the year 2023. This is his first interview, and he did not give it to no one else rather than Tabane, who is the TV presenter. So he had to come and give him this interview because this is one of the interviews that most of people they've been waiting for. Tabane last year, we get to see him interviewing many people, and yet all of them they were running away from different questions, and they have to direct him straight away to the president himself to come and answer the question. But we get to see that the president came forward with an open heart, in a very friendly conversation that he had to exchange with the Prof. Tabane. He have to give the answer, and Tabane did also what a journalist should do, to ask only the question so that the president will be able to provide the answer. Well guys, that is the President of the Republic of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, giving his first interview in this year 2023. And before we even get to analyze more about what this interview was all about, I have to acknowledge that this is a very interesting interview, first of all, because of the way you can tell that this was kind of like a conversation between a journalist and the President of the Republic, and the questions were just floating very well, and the answers were coming, though Mr. President had to answer as a politician. Mr. President had to also try to avoid to not be too harsh in his answers, because these questions, majority of them were concerning people who work with him. So Mr. President did not want to create that conflict between him and his cabinet members or ministers. So therefore, you could see that Mr. President, he was more reserved in certain questions, as JJ Tabane was trying to ask him these questions. But guys, you know, as this interview started, I get to listen JJ Tabane asking the first question to know, how possible is it that you guys, I mean, was referring to the ANC, as Mr. President is a member of the ANC, asking to know why is it that you are finishing your conference, your 55th conference, yet you don't want to discuss about anything which has to do with Pala. That question, obviously, even Mr. President himself, I believe, before he seated in that Sophie, he knew already that that was going to be a question. So they had to remind him, because we get to see the ANC, they did not put the question of Pala in the agenda so that they can get to discuss. They get to discuss about different problems, different matters, but when it comes to that Pala report, they did not discuss it. And the president, he could not say much about it. I have said again about this before, that if you are expecting for the president to react about Pala saga affairs, it will be like you are just wasting your time, because if president wanted to give the answer about this Pala thing, you would have done this a long time ago. But since he have not tried to react or give his point of view about this, that matter just considered as something which is in the past already. So you get to see for yourself how the president gave the answer about that part. But another part which I found more interesting is when they asked him about this same report of Pala when it was brought in the parliament, and it happened that some members from the ANC, they refused to vote in favor of Mr. President of Republic. So is he okay with that? That was the question they asked him. If Mr. President, was he okay when he get to see that some ministers in his cabinet and some people who supposed to be his colleague from the ANC, they get to vote against him? What was his reaction? So obviously, once again, Mr. President, he show how humble he is by not holding back on what had happened in the parliament, and he seemed not to have big problem with it. He already leave it. He don't have problem with that. But we're going to get to see in the near future to come, because you know, politicians sometimes they can tell you that, no, look, I'm not interested in this, or no, I don't have problem with this particular person. But when the time of nomination comes, when the time comes for you to build up a new cabinet or give the post to the ministers and different people, that's when we get to see whether Mr. President means his words or not. But for now, obviously, he really avoided to answer that question, especially when they ask him what disciplinary measure that these people will have to face. You know, him as a president of the ANC, he could not say much about it. Instead, he preferred to leave all this problem in the hands of the disciplinary ANC disciplinary committee, so that they will deal with these people. So, you know, and as this question goes far again, because they had to ask him not so long ago, last year, guys, you get to see how the president, he had to come and talk or give his point of view about the Zondo report, the state capture report, which have many names of many people who have looted the government money. So therefore, Mr. President, he came and he told the nation that this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to be the procedure, this is how these people will have to go and answer to all the wrongdoing that they have done so far. And now among these people, apparently there is two people who are close to Mr. President, two people who are working under his cabinet, two people who their names are being mentioned in. So now the question JJ Tabane, I mean to say, he had to ask him was to know what is the ANC doing so far, because these people, though they are being mentioned in the state capture, there is nothing has happened. These people are sitting, they are relaxing, they are living their life like nothing happened. So how possible is it that you come out as the president of the republic, you speak to the nation, they get to listen to you, but everything that you spoke about, nothing have really took place yet, and nothing happened from the people who supposed to be set to be a fine example to other people. Obviously you get to listen to how Mr. President have to give his point of view. So for me, I think Mr. President spoke as a politician, you know. And one thing I like about Mr. President is for the fact that he looked like someone who don't want to have a lot of conflict, because in most of the time when people are expecting him to be harsh or to hammer to those who are trying to destroy his name or his reputation, you get to see him, he come like as a very quiet person, very calm, you know, and he talk in a very respectful way. So for that reason, we have to acknowledge that it's something good about Mr. President, because not every president out there can behave in the same way as Mr. President is doing right now. So that at least is something that we have to salute him for that. But besides that, all the other questions that they ask Mr. President, obviously, for example, like the problem of electricity crisis, you know, well, I find something which really make me laugh, you know, like when Mr. President says that he have irritated or he have find this ESCOM problem. And I like the way JJ Tabane respond to him, saying that yes, this, you saying that these things of electricity crisis did not start today, but it started with the ANC. It does not matter who was there as a president before you, but it started under the ANC leadership. I think that was a good way of JJ Tabane reminding Mr. President on what he should also assume as his responsibility, instead of running away from the from his own responsibility, saying that no, I'm not the one who started this, look at what. Yes, we can all say we know, yes, we know that Mr. President is not the one to take blame for all this, because he find the situation there, he irritated this electricity crisis. But all this, whether Mr. President was there before or not, people out there, they are not seeing only Mr. President himself, instead they are seeing the whole ANC, because they are the one who've been there for some times now. So let's hope that all the answers that he gave and all the plans that they are working on this year for them to solve this problem, it will come to truth, and the people of South Africa, they will be able to benefit all this from all these promises. Because if this continue like this, I'm afraid to say that the next things they'll have now to start going to Mozambique, you know, Lesotho, all these small countries you are seeing in the southern Africa, to start going then buying electricity. And we all know that most of these countries, they survive when the economy of South Africa is more stable. They survive when everything's are doing fine in South Africa. So if things goes wrong for South Africa economy, if things get ugly, all these small countries, Zimbabwe, Zambia, it will affect them in one way or another way. That is the reason why I like the speech which Mr. President gave on Sunday when they were celebrating the 111th birthday of the ANC, when Mr. President says that as the ANC, they will do everything in their power to make sure that all the country in Africa continent, the country that are going through difficult times, they should get their help and support, and even go far to give example of Zimbabwean on how things can be more easy if it happened that Zimbabwean they have to remove the how to call it again, the sanction against them, so that they'll be free. Because it is true, every country, once they put it in sanction, it's gonna catch you sooner or later. Even what is happening in Russia right now, Russia, they are under sanction. Russia, they are managing to survive and continue to fight until now, is because they were one of the fourth world powerful country. So they are trying to show that once again. They are trying to resist. But whether Russia win this fight or not, these sanctions, if they don't remove it as soon as possible, trust me, there will be a serious crisis in Russia. And I believe that is when you get to see these politicians, Americans and Europeans, they get to stand there. They are waiting. They keep on supporting Ukraine, at the same time waiting to see how far Russia will go before they get to see Russia and its people crawling down on their knees. So, Mr. President, you have this willing of wanting to see other African country developing more better, wanting to see other African country to be lifted from their sanctions, so that the economy will raise up, so that everything will go to normal. And once that happens, Mr. President knew already that it's going to benefit South Africa. That is the reason why he keep on insisting that that should happen. And here, once again, we can all agree that Mr. President have just joined the point of view of the president of EFF, Julius Malema. We've been talking about these things for some times now, and when he first started talking about this sanction of Zimbabwe being lifted, there were some people calling him name, judging him. Some people, they were even saying that they were not gonna vote him because they feel like he's the one who's promoting these things of Zimbabwean coming to South Africa and everything. But him was very clear in his message from the beginning. He's saying that Zimbabwean, they are coming here because they are being posed in sanction. Once these sanctions are lifted over and Zimbabwean, they remain as a free and democratic country, it will really help the economy. And once the economy is up, there won't be any Zimbabwean who want to come and live in South Africa. Maybe if they have to come for business. And that makes sense. Mr. President of Republic himself, he have to come forward and repeat the same thing again. So we support people of Zimbabwe. We just hope that one day soon the sanction against them can be lifted, so that Zimbabwe can regain again their place in the world of best economy, and people of Zimbabwe can be able to survive once again in all the challenges that they are facing. Well, guys, that's what we wanted to talk with you today in this video. Of course, I know this interview of Mr. President, it was an interview that most of people have been waiting for, especially when you get to see someone as a JJ Tabane, who managed to interview almost all the class of politicians, I mean to say, last year, but you could not be able to interview Mr. President. I believe it was for a reason, but until when this occasion shows up, he managed to interview him, and we did our analytics about it, and we gave you our point of view on it. So thank you so much for watching this video until now. Yeah, for now, continue to be yourself, be good, be kind, have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon in the next video. For now, ciao ciao.